St Kilda versus Fremantle. What did we learn? So there's been a lot talked about Ross Lyon, Hugo Garcia during the week. Who cares? It's a little bit of a storm in a teacup. Ross Lyon's a coach. He's coaching his kids. He wants them to be the best players that they can be. We have a lot of faith in the promising future of Hugo Garcia. It all went very public, but who cares? So I know that we all talk about we want to see a response and all that kind of stuff. I just think this was Saints footy against Fremantle versus what we've seen over the past few weeks. And there's a few things I think that are worth highlighting above others. So the first thing is Jack McRae. I don't want to talk about his clearance numbers, how many possessions he got, how many meters he gained. I want to talk about his intensity around the ball. That guy is a bull. He's a menace. His intensity and engagement during stoppages is out of this world. He's an animal, and that intensity lasts for an entire game, and that explains why he gets the clearance numbers that he does, and the amount of ball that he does. That guy is an animal at stoppage. One thing that stood out to me was just his repeat intensity whenever the ball was in contest. So we know some of his kicks are hacked out. He's not the cleanest clearance player in the world, but he is a beast and an animal, and his intensity, just his sheer beast-like behavior around stoppage is insane. It's off the charts, and that results in him getting the number of possessions he gets and the number of clearances he gets. I think that's just worth pointing out, that forget clearance numbers, forget meters gained. That intensity around the ball is off the charts. Callum Wilkie. Now, this wasn't the game against Fremantle, of course, wasn't the best way to gauge the value of a defender. Fremantle weren't great, obviously, but I want to just say it here. Callum Wilkie is the best footballer in Australia, and the $1.7 million that St Kilda per year that St Kilda are floating to try and attract Tom de Koning would be well spent. I'm not saying better spent. I'm just saying well spent on Callum Wilkie. He is the best footballer in the country. His skill level is immense. His ability to read the play is unparalleled. We know he's slightly undersized as a defender, yet he rarely gets beaten he's Max Hodgson-like in one-on-ones, right? He doesn't like being beaten in one-on-ones. I remember there was a couple of years there where Max Hodgson went with never losing a one-on-one contest, and then I can't remember the exact year, but he was filthy. We were 50 points up in the final game of the season, and it was a teammate's fault. I can't exactly remember the circumstances, but teammate let him down, and he lost. His opponent kicked a goal. His opponent took a mark and kicked a goal. And he was livid because he'd gone the whole season without losing a one-on-one contest or without having an opponent kick a score off of him for an entire year. That was Max Hudson. He was a gem. Callum Wilkie's of the same ilk and of the same quality. He's a genuine superstar, and I'm saying it right now. Callum Wilkie is the best footballer in the country, period. So, if Tom DeConey doesn't want to come to St Kilda, spend the $1.7 million on Callum Wilkie and on retaining NAS. That's where I'm going. And I know I'm not ignorant enough to understand that we're not keeping an eye on retaining the talent that we do have on the list. So, but Callum Wilkie would be worth every cent of $1.7 million a year. Culture players versus Hollywood players. I was really, really happy to see that O'Connell was brought back into the team after his concussion. Was it concussion that he had? And he debuted in round 1, I believe. He had a few games, got concussed. Now he's back. I was very happy to see him brought back into the team. I was very happy to see Hugh Boxall given his well-deserved debut. And I just want to talk about that, the idea of culture players versus Hollywood players. Culture players, Jack Steele, Liam Stocker, Hugo Garcia, Mitch Owens, Hugh Boxall, Liam O'Connell, Max Hall, Marcus Windhager. This is not exhaustive. It's not supposed to be exhaustive. The tackle, what I wanted to see this week after last week's horrendous. Well, actually against Brisbane, I didn't think we were as bad as we had been in the previous couple of weeks. Brisbane are a very accomplished team. What I wanted to see is just brute force tackling, and that's what I did see, and that's culture, right? Garcia was immense. I thought Boxall was. I mean, the intent around the ball were that if we didn't get it, they weren't going to get it. Jack Steele was insane in this regard as well. Max Hall is a monster when it comes to tackling. He loves it. Hugo Garcia, I don't want to make too big of a deal about the whole Garcia thing. Thought it was great, but that's what we should expect of him. I think he has a lot of promise, and he showed that, and he's going to continue to deliver that. O'Connell, I mean, just do so much tonight. He didn't stand out, but we know that the courage that he shows, and that kind of physical intensity around the ball, around contest, in marking contests, that he brings to the back line. Obviously, Stocker is the animal in the side. I love the way he goes about what he does. I love his attitude. I love the way he loves a contest, loves a fight, and loves the tackles. I mean, he hits hard. Jack Steele was immense. Garcia, Mitch Owens. I mean, Mitch Owens is a beast, right? He's an animal. He loves it. He loves a contest. He's fearless. Marcus Windhager is in a, I feel, in a slightly different category to all these. He's capable. I'd like Marcus Windhager's career to be sorted out. Like, what do we want from him? What do we need from him? What do we want him to do? Because he's got not the most talented by foot or hand, but talented enough, certainly, to be a top 22 player. He's got the animal in him to lay tackles. And I feel like he's playing somewhat of a not quite one or the other kind of role in the side. I still think he's kind of finding his place in this game, and which is nothing. I think Marcus Windhager is fantastic. I think the club needs to figure out, okay, how do we best utilize this guy? But I call these guys culture players, and then there's Hollywood players. So and that's Sinclair, Nazaya, it's Lance Collard, it's Jack Higgins, it's Cooper Sharman, it's Darcy Wilson, it's Brad Hill, right? And they were fantastic against Fremantle. And I think, we've got to let's not forget Max King, Liam Henry, Mateus Filippo, Toby Travaglia, guys that weren't there. I think a nice mix of Hollywood and culture players is what makes for a successful team. And I think we have a really good balance of culture versus Hollywood, right? When you want a bit of Hollywood, you want a bit of that star. We call it X Factor if you want. I hate that expression, but star quality. Cooper Sharman has the way he reads the ball and the way he can launch at it has star quality. He could be anything. Lance Collard, the same. Jack Higgins is fulfilling most of that. But the upside in these guys is insane. When you have a culture and Hollywood player, you have the full package. And I think a lot of our culture players all have a little bit of well, not all of them. Good number of them have a little bit of Hollywood about them. Hugh Boxall, certainly. Max Hall. Mitch Owens, Steele, Stocker, Garcia, O'Connell, Moyer, like culture players. They have a role to play. And then I also love the defensive pressure that Jack Higgins brings and Jack Sinclair brings. So just an observation that, we've got a nice blend of Hollywood and culture players, and I think it augurs well for us. Jack Sinclair and Nazaya Wanganeen Miller don't need to dominate games for us to win. They don't need to be in our best five for us to win, and that's a positive. So neither of them were particularly prolific tonight. They were effective when they had the ball, but they didn't have the ball a lot. I love the fact that Nazaya is willing and probably given license to just bite off as much as he can chew, because it works when it works, and when it doesn't work, whatever. He tried. Fearless. When you got that kind of talent, play fearlessly, bite off the difficult kicks and the Hollywood kicks, and just see what happens, right? I'm down with it. I think that he has that license. I think not all players are going to want that license, but for Nazaya, just take the game by the scruff of the neck and do what you can, right? Make as much damage as you can, go crazy, and see what you can do to get your $1.7 million a year, because you are a star. So it was an entertaining game. I wish we'd kicked a little more accurately. It's probably the only real hit on it. I love the fact that Hugo Garcia kicked a goal late in that fourth quarter. I don't want to make too big a deal out of the fact that it was Hugo Garcia that, with all the spotlight and all that attention during the week, kicked the goal. It's not a huge thing, but it was kind of nice to see, right? It was nice. I felt Zach Jones was a bit unlucky to be left out, but I think also that Zach Jones has bursts. He's great in 10-minute bursts, but I can't remember the last full kind of game that he contributed for the whole game. And I just love the midfield mix when it's clicking. Now we want to see that click multiple weeks in a row to know that we're on the right track. I felt Jack Steele and Jack McRae really drive the standards in there. And I think they just need a little bit of support. So Hugh Boxall was, I mean, how old is that kid? He's yeah, he's a culture player. I reckon there's also some fend off Hollywood style play in his game. It's great to see him get a run. Sadly, Travaglia missed out tonight, but he will. I mean, he's got a big future. So it's nice to be positive about St Kilda. I think it was, while I would like them to have kicked a larger score than they ended up doing, we saw a bit. I'd like Cooper Sharman to finally understand and realize the potential and capacity that he has. And I hope that this game against Fremantle proves that to him, that he can be our number 2 key forward, launch at it, mark it, want the ball. When he really, really wants the ball and he's on, something always tends to happen, right? So, yeah, very, very, very entertaining display. And I'm going to leave it by saying, and this is obviously controversial, Callum Wilkie is the best footballer in the AFL.